So you're a Canadian and you want to start making money online, you want to start selling on Amazon, and you've come across this video. This is an A to Z training, and at the end of this video, you will know how to start selling on Amazon literally today. Stick with me. A little bit about myself. I've sold 1.5 million in the past 3 years on Amazon.com in the United States and in .ca here domestically. This is a picture of my room being filled with inventory. I used to be in a 9 to 5. I was trapped there, the golden handcuffs. I was an important person in the company and I felt like I couldn't leave. I started super small as a side hustle. You can see here, this is October 1st, 2022. It's a screenshot from Facebook. It's a 4,000 revenue month compared to the 1.5 million I've done in the past 3 years. It's nothing. I started small, was able to leave my 9 to 5 to do this full time. And I want to teach you how to start. So what's going to be included in this training? Because like I said, you are going to get everything you need to start selling on Amazon after this video. And we're going to go over how this actually works, right? How do we make money on Amazon? What do I do? It's called Online Arbitrage. And we're going to compare that to the other Amazon business model so that you're not confused when you're searching on YouTube. We're looking at the important lingo to understand, because when I'm going to start saying certain words that you never heard about, well, you got to know what they are, how to actually set up your business, the common questions when people start, the actual supplies you need to buy, getting ungated, right, products to sell, what softwares do you need to use, the type of products to buy, the type of products to avoid, and how to actually find the products and source. All you need to do is watch the entire video. If you want this whole guide for free, printable in a PDF format, just go join my school. We do weekly calls and we're there for your success as Canadian sellers. Let's get right into it. So how does this work? What am I doing? Well, we're buying big brand name products, like I said, at a discount, and we're flipping them on Amazon. That has Prime. It's not drop shipping. We actually need to go ahead and go buy these products, but then we send them to Amazon and they do the rest. I put an example here. On the left side of my screen, you have a Walmart screenshot. The product is at $8.97. On the right side of my screen, we have the Amazon screenshot where the product is $24.85. Amazon takes a cut because they do all the delivery, they do all the customer service, but you can see that there is a big difference. And this is a screenshot that I took right before making this video. These products are everywhere for you to sell and so you can make profit. I've sourced from everyday websites for 3 years, including names like Walmart, Canadian Tire, Sephora, Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, and countless more. These are big websites that are found every single day. These websites have thousands of dollars of profit in them. You just need to learn how to find them. And I'm here to jumpstart you that today. Amazon Online Arbitrage versus other types of Amazon business models. There's 3 other types of business models that are the main ones. There are other ones, but in general, we're going to find private label. This is where you're actually going to create your own brand. You're going to talk to manufacturers in China. You're going to make 100 to 1,000 units. You're going to ship them all here and you're going to sell and take care of all the marketing, make the listings. It takes a ton of time, a ton of money, and it's way more risky. Is the upside there? Can you sell your brand for a lot of money? Yes. But as a new person who wants to start making money online, I do not suggest looking at videos like that. Then there's wholesale, which is kind of similar to us, but they're dealing with people that are dealing in bulk. So you need to buy minimum purchase orders of maybe 1,000 to 3,000 units. Maybe some will allow you to buy a couple hundred, but even at a buy cost of $5 to $10, that could be extremely expensive. So that is not something you should start with. And the last other business model that we typically see is retail arbitrage, RA. It's very similar to us. They're also buying big brand name products on bigger discounts than us because they're in store, but it's harder to scale. You need to actually go out and buy these products in store instead of getting them shipped to you, to your house. Harder to scale, but easy to make quick flips. And I do suggest you have fun with retail arbitrage, and I'll teach you a little bit how to do it too in this video. The important lingo to understand in Amazon, right? Let's go down that list because these are common words that you're going to hear often, right? You're going to hear FBA. FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. That just means that when I source my product, if I have a Stanley mug, I'm going to ship them to Amazon and Amazon's going to store it for me. And when I get a sale, Amazon's going to actually ship it out, right? And it's fulfilled by Amazon. That fulfillment is done by them. Whereas then there's FBM. And I won't be talking about FBM today, even though I do some, but that's fulfillment by the merchant. I am the merchant. So if someone buys this Stanley mug from me, by FBM, I need to find a way to ship this to the client. I am responsible for the shipping. I am responsible for the customer service, but I unlock margin because FBA is a little bit more expensive because they are charging for that customer service and a pick and pack fee. Buy box, that's who owns the buy now button on Amazon, right? When you're going ahead and you're pressing buy now, what you don't see is there's maybe 10, 15 sellers on that. So who's actually owning the buy box? We want to see the buy box there and we want to fight for a percentage of it. Next keyword is going to be ASIN, Amazon Standard Identification Number. That's what it stands for. But in reality, it's like a specific code that represents the product. So whenever you take that code, you can copy paste it in all the different softwares and it's going to understand what product you're talking about. Next is Keepa. This is going to be our main software that we use, and it's going to help us determine supply, demand, and price history. We always hear that in business. Supply and demand is so important. Well, this is the software, and I think it's going to cost us like $25 a month. I mentioned it later, but it's essential to our Amazon business. Next is SellerAmp. It's our product research tool. This is how we're going to help us find products, and it's also going to give us our profit after Amazon fees, so we know how much money we're making after we sell a product. There's no guessing using these softwares. And last two, these are not necessarily common, but are important to know. You might hear me talk about virtual assistant. These are offshore employees. Specifically, mine is in the Philippines, and they can help you run your business for $5 an hour. But I just wanted you to know what that is, even though I don't talk about it in this video much. There are people that do talk about VAs a lot, and I do have videos on my YouTube channel about VAs themselves. And lastly, prep centers. Well, there are people that instead of doing the prep themselves, I suggest to do the prep yourself, at least at the beginning, but they will hire third-party warehouses that do the prep for you, and you ship your products from the online website to them directly. They will ship to Amazon directly, so you never touch the products. Almost becomes like a video game in that case, but it does cost money. Nothing in life is free. They will charge you $1, $1.50 per unit, and that can add up, and you can save a lot of money doing the prep yourself. So if you want to actually start selling on Amazon today, how do you set up the business? Well, you don't need to register as a sole proprietor or a corporation or anything fancy like that with an accountant at the start, right? Amazon will collect and remit taxes for you, so you have no tax implication. You can just go ahead and start. In Canada, technically over 30K, you need to register for taxes, but I actually think you should register for taxes before that and become a sole proprietor, because you're going to unlock and you're going to get refunded all your taxes that you purchase. If you're purchasing from Quebec or Ontario, you got 15-13% tax rates that you need to include in your cost of goods sold. I, as a corporation, or as like my brother as a sole proprietor, actually he's a corporation too, but it doesn't matter. Any normal sole proprietor will get their taxes that they spend on inventory refunded to them at the end of the quarter. It's important to get registered as soon as possible, but if you want to start selling today, you don't need that. You can just go ahead and sign up. Sign up to a professional Amazon account. It's $30 a month. You won't get charged until you send your first product and you sell your first product. You got to link your bank account. You can always change that later to a separate bank account that you dedicate to Amazon and only Amazon, but at the beginning, you just want to sell as quick as possible, guys. So just link a bank account so Amazon's could start proving it. Then you need to install two softwares. You have Keepa and SellerAmp. I talked about them before. One's $28 a month, the other one's $40 a month. So for $98 a month Canadian, you can manage pretty much your whole Amazon business. Is there other softwares out there? Yes. Do I use other softwares out there? Yes. But to start selling today, you don't need that. All you need is $98 a month, and inside 2 months, you could start getting sales and easily pay that off. Put a note here, guys. Sign up as soon as possible. It's like I said, it doesn't cost anything to sign up for Amazon Seller Central. It's $30 a month only when you start actually selling a product, and it does take a few days for Amazon to verify and accept your account. So do that today, right after this video, so like that you can start selling as quick as possible. Now we got some common questions. How much capital do I actually need to start? Right? The most common question that Amazon sellers are going to ask. And honestly, you don't need much to start. And the keyword is to start. 1,000 to 3,000 is perfect. It's low risk. You won't have a ton of risk losing that inventory. You can always return the products to big retailers. But to truly scale, you probably will need to invest more. And I say probably, it's for sure. You will need to invest more. The more money you spend, the more money you will make. But to actually start, you don't need much. 1,000 to 3,000 is perfect compared to those other business models that will take a lot more money to start. Can I do this part-time? Of course, I did this part-time for 18 months, a year and a half while I was at my 9 to 5 in my corporate job. I was doing both at the same time and ended up leaving after that to go full-time. And I do that to this day now. It's been almost 2 years, I think. What are profit margins? We're looking at 10 to 25%. I know that's large. Well, one, it depends on how good you are at sourcing products, but also like how much are you going to outsource? Are you going to hire a prep center? Well, that's going to eat into your margins, but then you're not prepping any products. So it's a lot less work. Are you actually sourcing, or are you having a VA do that? Are you doing your admin, or are you having a VA do that? You got to pay these VAs, right? So you can sacrifice margins to automate things and make things easier. So that's why there's a wide range of 10 to 25% of the top line. And how do you actually get paid? Well, I said it before, you link your Amazon account. So you set it up and you say request pay, and they will pay you every single day. How do you get products to Amazon? I kind of talked about it before, but not in detail. When you're doing your actual shipment, it's super easy in Amazon Seller Central. It's a pretty step-by-step process, and you have UPS partnered shipping, which is ridiculously cheap. Usually comes out to around 50 cents per kilo, maybe a little bit more, but then you just put the UPS labels on the boxes and they get sent to Amazon, and you're done after that. It's really as easy as that. It's not complicated to do the shipping to Amazon, and they take care of all the heavy lifting, which is shipping to the customer and the follow-up customer service. I heard there's not a lot of products you can sell as a new seller, right? A lot of things are gated. New sellers don't have seasoned accounts. It's normal that you won't have a ton of brands to start selling right away. There's still plenty of profitable ASINs out there that can help you start selling today, and we can figure out how to get ungated products a little bit later. I actually talk about it a little bit in this video. Do I need to do customer service? I talked about it. Nope. Amazon takes care of everything. When you do FBA, they do take 30% of the top line, but well worth the exchange because they automate so much of this business. And last but not least, how fast can I sell $10,000 worth of products? That's a very common question. And my answer is often just going to be $5,000 worth of purchases equals around $10,000 worth of sales. We're usually selling for double amount what we buy for. Depends how much capital you have to start, right? If you only have $1,000, $2,000 to start, well, you need to sell $5,000 worth of inventory. So that's a couple of cycles. But if you have $5,000 to $10,000 to start right away, you could probably get $10,000 of sales in your first or second month. Next up is you're going to have to buy some supplies. You need to actually ship the products to Amazon, like I said. So what are you going to need for that? Well, you need a printer. You can either use your normal printer that you have at home, hopefully, or you can get yourself a fancy 4x6 thermal label printer, as we call it. Those are technically the best or the most efficient, but they are a little bit expensive. And like I said, you can just start with your printer. The goal is to start selling as fast as possible. And you're actually going to need labels to put onto your products because those normal UPC codes, let's say I have on this product, right? This is not valid at Amazon. We do need to put a label on that. So you can either get an 8x11 adhesive label sheet. And again, guys, all these things will be on a template in my school community pinned in the comments. So you can have easy links to everything that I mentioned here. You need big boxes to fill these products with. The max size is 24 inches on each side. Don't ever get a box that has a longer 24 inch on one side. You need a tape gun, you need tape, not these little fancy tape strips that you use in school. No, you need a tape gun to close boxes and make sure they don't open while you send them to Amazon. You need poly bags, right? These are little plastic bags that you're gonna put liquid products in so they don't actually leak. And I suggest to get a variety of sizes. And again, that's gonna be in my template in the school community. And last but not least, you're gonna need a scale. You need to actually weigh how much the boxes are, and they can't be more than 50 pounds. That is very important. Amazon will get mad at you and they will discipline you if the boxes are more than 50 pounds. An easy way, you can get a professional scale to put boxes on, or you can use an at-home scale, weigh yourself holding the box and just do the difference. That's not a long-term method because they're not super accurate. As long as you're not at the 50-pound mark, you can do that to start, and there'll be no problem to start sending your first shipment. Now, for the famous ungating, right? It's the hot topic in the Amazon world. Like I said, a lot of people, you'll come across a lot of products that say that you're gated, you're not allowed to sell this brand, and it's very unmotivating at the beginning. And it's not that hard to get ungated, but it is extremely tedious. You got to purchase from a big retail website. Hopefully the brand direct themselves, they sell the product, right? And you just got to buy 10 units. And once you get those 10 units, you need to submit to get ungated. But the thing is, which is very important to understand, is that ungating rejection is normal and it will happen over and over again. And you have to wait 12 hours to potentially get a different agent. If you submit too many times back to back, that agent might close the case on you. So you need to wait 12 to 24 hours per resubmission. And it could take 30 times plus to get ungated. But once you do get ungated, I mean, listen, it can help you out. It gives you a new brand to start selling. And category-wide ungates are favored by me. I do like grocery and topicals as a category. You just got to get something, example from Walmart in the grocery category to get ungated in grocery. It's not easy. It's not my favorite way to do on Amazon. Honestly, a lot of people harp on this, try to sell this, but it could definitely get you a head start. Next part is going to be the softwares to use. And I mentioned all we're using is two, SellerAmp and Keepa. And I'm going to kind of describe what the visuals are. So when we're doing our live sourcing later, you can understand kind of what I'm looking at when I'm using these softwares. So for SellerAmp, I mentioned it's going to help us find products, and that we're going to detail later, but it also gives us a fancy calculator. So on this fancy calculator over here, it will tell you if you're eligible to sell the product or not once you link it to your Amazon account and log in. It'll tell you alerts if there's any problems with the product, and I mentioned them later on what the products to avoid. It gives you a good idea of the volume. Is it in the top 1% performing products or is it above? An estimated sales is going to tell you what your max cost is going to be. So automatically just looking at that, I know that if I can get this product at less than $7, it's going to be a 30% ROI because of my setting. Then you're going to input your cost price, and it's going to give you how much profit you're going to make after all expenses. So it's as easy as that. SellerAmp just gives us a clean look and really easy to determine if the product is profitable after expenses. Keepa, on the other hand, is a lot more in-depth of a software. Although it's simple to look at because we have a green line, a pink line, and a blue line, this information tells us essentially everything we need to know about the product. The pink line tells us the price history, right? We can see that back in August 16th, this product was at $35, and today, November 1st, this product is sub $25 or just a bit higher. So we can see that the prices actually went down, and we can see a correlation with the blue line of seller count, right? Supply and demand. Well, if at the bottom here, we can see that there was around 3 sellers maybe, and now there's 11. So there's a lot more sellers on the listing, and makes sense that the price actually went down. And this green line here is essentially our volume. It matches the BSR, the best seller rank that I mentioned before. So every time it drops, we can safely assume it sells at least one time. Most of the time, that actually means even more. It doesn't mean one drop, one sale, but we can assume one drop at least equals one sale to help us determine sales volume. And last thing, I didn't write it here, but this little monthly sold yellow line can appear in the middle graph, and this essentially will guarantee us by Keepa, hey, in this period, it's selling 50 times a month. Keepa, this is kind of what we look at. Is there more in depth? Yes, but at the base, this is what Keepa. Next, we're at what products to actually buy, right? We want to see stable price history, volume identified, and no spike in the seller. Put an example of a great Keepa chart here. So we could see that the price has been stable. In the past, it was maybe around $23. Right now, it's probably floating around $25, $24. It's consistently sold 50 times a month in the past 3 months. The seller count has remained relatively stable. It might have had like 4 to 5, and now there's maybe 7, 8. It's a slight increase, but the price has actually gone up. We can see what our calculator on the right, it was profitable. It's an over 30% ROI. It has to come from a reputable website, and there's no alerts. This is a beautiful product, a perfect product for us to buy, and would be a slam purchase every single day. Next, though, is what type of products to avoid, right? We want to avoid price tanking products, rise in seller counts, and low volume at profitable prices. So what that means is if we use this product as an example, the one I showed before, well, in the past, it was very profitable potentially, but now the price has tanked. It's went down. We kind of want to avoid sourcing this now, and we want to avoid it because the low seller count actually went up. There's been a rise in seller count while the price has gone down, right? And what you want to avoid, I couldn't find an example quickly for this video, but you want to avoid alerts that say hazard, dangerous good, generic brand, or IP alert, right? These are the things you just want to avoid selling on Amazon. Now, how to actually find products. And we're going to go right into sourcing in a few seconds, but I just want to let you know, right? I'm going to teach you 2 methods today. There are more methods on Amazon to source, but the 2 methods I'm going to teach you is storefront stalking using SellerAmp, which is the #1 way to source right now. Everybody's using this method. We're using other seller storefronts to see what they're selling, and we're going in there and trying to go on Google and see if we can get it at a profitable price too. Because in theory, if they're selling it, we can sell it too. And then the second method I'm going to show you is sourcing using Keepa Product Finder. We apply specific filters to all Amazon's database. Specific filters like minimum of $20 cost, not more than 5 sellers, not more than a BSR of 1%. We can put filters to bring down the amount in a category to 1,000 products, 500 products, and maybe find a product there. So let's not waste any time. Let's go straight into how to find products and source. All right, guys, when you want to reverse storefront stock, you got to be on a listing that you are already able to sell. I know my eligible as check panel, I'm not logged in, but you need to make sure that you are able to sell a product. What that means is, well, if there's other people selling this product, well, they might also be in a similar situation to you where in terms of they might not have everything already ungated, and you want to find somebody. You can scroll down and you can see everybody who's an FBA seller. We talked about FBA versus FBM before, and you want to find a low amount of reviews, right? So we have here 22, we have 12. Let's open up the 12 and the 22 in a different tab. So when we open up the one with 12 reviews, we see that he has a total of 46 ASINs, 46 products. And in there, he has 15 that are in the grocery category, 11 in the health, 9 in home and kitchen. And essentially doing this, we're going to see all of the products with the Keepa chart on the right-hand side. And we talked about what makes a good product. We want to see a stable pink line, which is orange in this graph. And we want to see a lot of movement up and down in that green line. So using these two, we can look on the right-hand side. Look at this, sorry for my cat. We can be on the right-hand side and then also look at the products on the left-hand side and what they are and the max cost would be. Obviously, I'm not going to go and do product research on this when the max cost is already negative for what the price is. So we're looking for something that has a reasonable max cost. Now, I'm not saying we're going to find one here at the moment because the goal of this video is just to explain to you exactly how to find products. But you would go one by one until you would click a product. Let's click this just as an example. We're going to click it. We're going to see if we're eligible to sell it. And then we're just going to click this little Google button in SellerAmp, and it's going to bring us, okay, we can get it at Walmart. That's for $6.28. I'm not sure if it's this one or is this one at $7.99. Look like to be the one at $7.99. Not profitable, right? But if you do this, eventually you will find a ton of products that are profitable. This is really elementary. This is the most basic way. This is the easiest way to learn the market, because once you click a brand and you are not eligible to sell it, don't click that brand again. Move on and start getting a pile of brands that you are ungated in. When you run out of products in this seller storefront, and you might only find one product, and sometimes you might not find any products in the storefront, you gotta have an expectation of going to storefront to storefront and doing this for like a 2-hour flow session. When you're done with the storefront, you scroll down, you find yourself another product with a couple of sellers. This person has 4 reviews. We'll open up them, and you can see we're in a rabbit hole where we can consistently go through other storefronts. This person only has 8 products, relatively easy to go in and look at it. Now, the thing is looking at new sellers, the odds that they have great products are not high. And that's kind of why for new sellers, want to use the second method that I'm going to show. So like I mentioned, the other method is Keepa Product Finder. And for that, you're going to need to go on keepa.com/#!finder, or the link is in the description. And in there, if you want a deep, detailed guide on finding leads on there, I have other videos that I made not long ago on it, but I will give you a basic crash course on how to put the filters and get yourself a list of products that you could potentially sell on Amazon to make a lot of money. So we talked about all these things about sales rank and buy box, and now is the time to apply that knowledge and put in filters in the Amazon Keepa database with every single product that's on Amazon.ca. So the first thing I like to put is, generally I want the minimum price to be $25. This is not a filter that is the golden rule for everybody. And as you can see, just by putting that, we still have 82 million products in the database, and we need to cut that down to at least like 1,000. Because after that, it gets a little bit tedious to go through 2,000-3,000 different products. And then we can start already scrolling down. We don't need to do that much more. Of course, like I said, in my other detailed videos, I do have other type of filters that can give us really precise, hyper-targeted products. But for now, we just want a large list of products and understand what Keepa Product Finder is. The first part, right, we're just going after pricing and buy box and such. But now we want to actually go after a category. Maybe you're going to want to be able to sell beauty. That's going to be your specialty. Or maybe you're someone that's going to really like tools and home improvement, or kitchen, or pets, right? This is where you can select and really only target that category. So we're already down to 893,000 products, but even at that, that's way too much. So we can go ahead and start manipulating how many sellers on it. I want a minimum of 3 sellers when we do online arbitrage. Why? Well, it's not a golden rule. If there's one seller, it's fine. But traditionally, when there's one seller, it's going to be private label, right? Because they own their own brand. And sometimes 2 sellers, it could be a private labeler sending their stuff to FBA, but also doing FBM. So they're 2 on the listing. So that's why I put this minimum of a 3 seller count. And that's going to drop us down to 50,000 products. So we went from 800,000 to 50,000. The last thing that I want to do, back on top, I just remember we got to put Amazon out of stock. We don't want to compete with Amazon. So that cuts it down to 47,000. This is a really, really big list. We can keep it at that and start learning our brands. We're going to put in one more thing. We're going to put the buy box, right? We don't want the buy box to drop more than 30% in the past 30 days. And we don't want in the past 90 days for it to drop 30% either. So this is putting more of a tight squeeze. And now we have 13,000 products that we can look at. So we're going to do find products. And again, this is very basic, but I just want you to understand the philosophy of what Keepa Product Finder is. And if you want more details, I have other videos on that. Right? And then we can filter here. I know you can't read everything, but it says bought in the past 50 days. So I'm going to filter by I like going by the smallest because it's not going to show 0. It starts at 50. And this is a good place for you as new sellers to start actually looking for potential products that have movement and are actually pretty decent on Amazon. Because like I said, based off the filters that we put before, it's going to give us relatively stable price action. So now we just need to see if they're actually profitable. So now what you would do is a little bit like the storefront stalking that we did before. When we hover over it, we get the Keepa graph right underneath my camera on the bottom right. And we're going to go and just click, open up a bunch of different products and see if we can find them on Google for a profitable price using SellerAmp's calculator. Okay, so we have, again, way too many products here because I think it said like 30,000. We want to add a little bit more filters, but I really suggest you watching my other videos if you want those detailed filters. If you guys really enjoyed this video, in the school community, we're going to have weekly calls. We're going to be going over different filters, how to find leads. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was an A to Z guide. Hopefully you understand how to sell on Amazon now, and I'll see you in my school community.